not only just the allegation was enough to get me locked up, but even for my bail and bail review, I wasn't allowed to argue that all this material that was written down was crap. I mean, show me a thread of proof, anything to justify what it is you're trying to do to me.
So for example, some woman could just basically write a one-page essay saying that, like, I will say, like, raped her or something like that.
Yeah.
And it could be totally not true, but they would still come and lock me up and throw away the key.
Oh, yeah.
And then that would just be it. And even if it never ever turned out to be true.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that harsh. You can have somebody say that you threatened to burn down a place, that you threatened to hurt somebody. You don't even have to put your hands on them. All you have to do is you threatened to put your hands on them, and they'll come and lock you up.
That's messed up.
And then it's up to you to figure out how to defend yourself from the allegation to get out of the mess. It's not up to them to prove you did it. It's up to you to prove you didn't do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're innocent until proven guilty in this country, like you said.
That's
the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what our Constitution says.
That is extremely frustrating.
Yeah. And then the right to a speedy trial. You know, back home, a speedy trial. It's 90 days from the day you're charged, and they have 72 hours. You know, once they lock you up, they have 72 hours to either charge you or let you go. And then depending on the crime, if they let you go, they have like a year maybe, you know, to charge you, what have you. But once they charge you, they have 90 days to bring you to trial. Here they have 180 days from the day you're arraigned. And arraignment is, you know, when you put in your first plea of guilty, not guilty.
Uh-huh.
And it can take, well, it took them 2.5 months to arraign me. So I was looking at 2.5 months that it took them to arraign me, and then another 6 months for them to bring me to trial. So that's 8.5 months, and there's no guarantee that I would even go to trial in that 8.5 months, because then it's quirky little things like, do we have a courtroom available? So I could end up waiting another 3 months. There was one guy in there. He was in jail for a year and a half before they brought him to trial.
Jeez.
And I said, you must have signed something at some point, you know, waiving your rights to a speedy trial. I mean, you must have.
Yeah.
A year and a half is ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I never signed anything.
So, I mean, you weren't even convicted of anything, and you spent 8 months in jail, right?
7.
7.
Yeah.
It was 7 months before you said, okay, I'll plead guilty to that one thing, driving on a suspended license.
No, actually, it was another charge I pled.
All right, well, whatever the charge was.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what it was.
Yeah.
So for 7 months, before anyone in the court of law decided you had actually done anything for a fact, you spent 7 months in jail.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
And then the final insult to injury, when they cut me loose, I was wearing my socks, some jail shoes, my jeans, a t-shirt. That was it. I had no money, no idea where to go, no nothing. I mean, I didn't even have a list of shelters or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wandered aimlessly around for a few hours before street people started, you know, noticing that I'm wandering around a lot, and said, you know, have you tried going down to, you know, this shelter here?
So people, you said street people, you said people, what do you mean?
Yeah, people out on the streets.
That's sufficient, because I mean, what I'm thinking is that doesn't make sense. I mean, these are people who are living on the streets. They don't have a lot of resources, and yet they were the ones that turned around to help you. I mean, don't we have a city government here? I mean, with, you know, the people pay taxes into and stuff like that. I mean, why did it have to be that, you know, these were the people that decided that they were going to help you, you know? Why can't the people, you know, who actually have access to lots of resources be the people to do the help?
I've got a suspicion. And my suspicion is because there's more money in not helping the people.
I think you're right.
for lack of any better proof, near as I can figure out, this state really has two means of income: government and locking people up. Now, if you're not in the government, then it's only a matter of time before you get locked up. I'm beginning to believe that locking people up is big business here, and everything is kind of. It almost sounds paranoid, but it almost seems like everything is designed to kind of push you in the direction where you end up getting locked up.
Yeah.
They're going to get their pound of flesh from everybody, and if they can't get it from everybody, then, well, some people are going to have to give up a couple pounds.
So how many people do you think are in jail right now in this country?
In this country?
In this country. Take a guess.
I couldn't even guess. In the millions.
The last statistic I heard a podcast, I think it was maybe like 2 months ago, and a guy just did a study about this, and he said there's 6 million people in prison in this country. So if we have a population of like 310, 315 million people, that's 2%. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, it's millions. We have more people in jail in this country than like the next 4 industrialized nations combined. Like, we have more people in jail than like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and a couple countries in Europe and the Middle East too combined. And there's a documentary made by this guy named Eugene Drecke called The House I Live In. And they're talking about how, he touches on what you said, how the prison system has become a for-profit business. And so they don't really have a lot of interest in rehabilitating you. They have an interest in building beds and filling those beds. And so like as soon as they build a prison, they find somebody guilty of something and they put them in there. Because, you know, they're taking, you know, good, honest, hardworking, decent Americans, and they're finding something they can accuse them of, and they're putting them in jail and they're making money off. Yeah.
And I was one of those people. I mean, I hadn't lived a squeaky clean life, but it had been 30 years since I was in any real trouble. I mean, I was still a teenager, and I wasn't looking to get involved in any real trouble now. I mean, I'm kind of too old for that. I'll be happy, you know. There's a few sites I'd still like to see in the state. I'd like to see Edgar Allan Poe's grave. I'd like to see where the Star Spangled Banner was composed. But other than that, I'll be real happy to get the hell out of the state, and I never want to come back.
I don't blame you, my friend. I don't blame you. Awesome. Anything else you'd like to share?
No.
That's pretty epic. All right, I'm gonna turn it off now.